And welcome my dear friends and students. Now in today's video I am going to explain Stokes law. First of all we have to consider what do you mean by Stokes law, or which are the things that are explained by the Stokes law. Now this law simply gives us the viscous force acting on a spherical body when that spherical body move through the viscous medium. So here in first figure I draw a container. In that container, if we take suppose a viscous liquid, and when this spherical body drop into that viscous liquid, then during the motion of that spherical body some force act which opposes the motion of that spherical body. That force is the dragging force or the viscous force. Now how that force act? Which are the factors on which that force depends? So these are the things we have to explain in Stokes law. Now here we can easily consider this experiment. Suppose this is a spherical body, and when this spherical body is dropped in a container having certain liquid, I took here a water, and in that water when I release this spherical body, then when this spherical body move in downward direction, then on that spherical body there is a particular force act when this spherical body that will be moving downward direction, then different layers of the fluid exert some force, because of which the motion of that spherical body somewhat get opposed. Now how that motion of the spherical body that get opposed, let us discuss here. So first of all, here this law gives us the viscous force acting on a spherical body falling through the viscous medium. That is the first point you have to keep in mind. Then when this spherical body move through the liquid, then what happens? The different layers of the liquid which are in contact with that spherical body, that causes the dragging force or drag force, and these layers, that is here consider this is the spherical body here. Now this spherical body while moving through that viscous liquid, then the first layer which is in contact with this spherical body, and this is the first layer which is in contact with the spherical body. Now here this layer form the dragging force. Now the second layer which is in contact with that first layer, that also cause some drag force on the first layer. The next layer which is in contact with the second layer, that also exert some force on the second layer. But the layers which are far away from that spherical body, that remain at a rest position. Now here what we have to consider, when a small spherical body moves through the viscous medium, we have to consider one small spherical body, and when that small spherical body moves through the viscous medium, then what happens? The layers of the medium which are in contact with that spherical body, so that's why right here the layers of the medium touching that spherical body are dragged along that spherical body. To drag means to oppose, to pull out that body in opposite direction. If this spherical body move in downward direction, because of this drag force, this drag force that will be in opposite direction to that of the direction of motion of that spherical body. Now this dragging of the different layers which are in contact, initially the first layer which is in contact with the spherical body, and these different layers which are contact with each other up to some distance, they causes their relative motion, because of which here some backward dragging force come into play. And what is the function of that dragging force? Just to oppose the motion of that body. Now according to Stokes' law, whatever that dragging force acting on that spherical body, it depends upon three factors. The first one, radius of the spherical body. Second one, the coefficient of viscosity of that liquid. And third one, the velocity with which that spherical body falls through that liquid. Now according to Stokes, that dragging force acting on a spherical body of radius r moving through a medium of coefficient of viscosity eta with the velocity v is given by, that is F proportional to eta r v, where eta is a coefficient of viscosity, r radius of the spherical body, v is the velocity. It means this force is directly proportional to all these three factors. Now if we replace this proportionality sign, then we have to write here 6 pi. The value that 6 pi is found from the experiment. We can find the relation between this F, eta, r and v by using the dimensional analysis. How this force proportional to r to the power 1, how this force proportional to n to the eta to the power 1, and how this force proportional to velocity to the power 1, that can be easily found out by using the dimensional analysis. But the value of this 6 pi, that is found from the experiment. So this is simply the Stokes' law. Let us quickly revise it. This law gives us the viscous force acting on a spherical body which is moving through a certain viscous liquid or medium. When small spherical body moves through the viscous medium, then the layers which are in contact with that body, that get dragged first. Now these layers which are in contact with each other, these layers that get dragged causes the relative motion between the different layers, and because of relative motion between that different layers, there is a one force come into play. That force is a dragging force, and the function of that force is just to oppose the motion of that spherical body which is moving through that particular viscous liquid. Now according to Stokes, that viscous force is depend upon three factors: radius of the spherical body, coefficient of viscosity of that liquid, and v is the velocity. It means this viscous force increases with the velocity, viscous force increases with the increasing radius of the spherical body, and this viscous force increases by increasing coefficient of viscosity. So that's why I write here F proportional to eta r v. If we replace this proportionality sign, then we have F equal to 6 pi eta r v, where 6 pi is a proportionality constant. This 6 pi is found from the experiment. Now, after considering Stokes' law, now we have to consider where that Stokes' law used. That is the importance of Stokes' law. It is used in the determination of electric charge with the help of particular experiment known as Milkin's oil drop experiment. In Milkin's oil drop experiment, whatever the charge on that spherical oil drop, that can be found out by considering this law. So that's why I write the first point. It is used in the determination of electric charge with the help of experiment, that is the Milton's experiment. Second one, this law also helps how the clouds form. This law accounts for the formation of clouds. Then this law also helps to explain why the speed of the raindrop is less than the speed of the body which is falling freely from the cloud at the same height from where that raindrop falls. It means why there is a speed difference between raindrop and the particular body which is falling from that cloud. And the next one, this law also helps when the person that will fall down with the help of parachute. So these are the certain importance of the Stokes law. This law helps to determine the electric charge on a oil drop. This law helps how the clouds form. This law helps why there is a speed difference, why the speed of the raindrop is less than the speed of the freely falling body from the cloud with the constant velocity. And this law also helps when a particular person try to fall with the help of parachute. Now let us consider the new concept, that is the terminal velocity. Now here when again the concept is same, when we consider the falling of a spherical body through the viscous medium, then how that body acquired the constant velocity because of which its acceleration becomes zero. That constant velocity is nothing but the terminal velocity. Now we can explain the terminal velocity by considering these two definitions. Here first of all keep in mind it is simply the maximum constant velocity. Terminal velocity is a maximum constant velocity acquired by the body when during the fall of that body through the viscous medium. Whenever particular body falling through that viscous medium, that body acquired the constant velocity at particular stage. That constant velocity is called as terminal velocity. So that's why right here it is the maximum velocity acquired by the body when that body fall freely in a viscous medium. Then how we define that terminal velocity? So the meaning is same. The constant velocity that a freely falling object eventually reach, means reach at a particular stage when the resistance of that medium through which that body falling prevent the further acceleration. It means here that body move through that medium with the constant velocity. Now here in the next definition there is a particular condition which we need. At which condition that body acquired that maximum velocity. So the maximum velocity acquired or attainable by an object as it falls through the fluid. This maximum velocity occurred when the sum of these two forces, that is the drag force, that is the viscous force which opposes the motion of that body, and the upthrust, that is the force exerted by liquid on that spherical body, that is called as the upthrust or buoyancy. Now when the force sum of that drag force and upthrust, that is equal to the weight of that body. Weight is nothing but the force exerted by earth on any body, that is the force of gravity acting on that object. It means whenever the sum of this upthrust and drag force that is equal to the weight of that body, when this condition gets satisfied, then that body acquired the maximum velocity. And when that body acquired the maximum velocity, then what happened? The net force then becomes zero. As force becomes zero, therefore that body or object has the zero acceleration. Now, these are the two definitions which can be easily remembered. So first of all, you have to keep in mind it is simply the maximum constant velocity acquired by that body when that body fall through the viscous medium. Now that body acquired that particular velocity when the sum of these two forces, that is the upthrust and viscous force or drag force, that is balanced by the weight of that body. So from that concept of this condition, that is upthrust force plus viscous force equal to weight, we have to obtain the expression for terminal velocity. Now to find the expression, let us consider a simple figure. Again you have to take one vessel. In that vessel, consider some viscous fluid, that is the liquid. When this spherical body release from the top of that vessel, that body start moving in downward direction. So this is the initial position of that spherical body. When this body start falling through that viscous medium, then there is a particular stage come. This is the stage at which these forces balance each other. Now two forces acting in upward direction. The first one, that is the upthrust. Upthrust means the force exerted by the liquid on that spherical body. And second one is the drag force, that is the viscous force, which is again here offered by the medium, that is the liquid medium, because of their relative motion which opposes the motion of that spherical body. Just we explain under the head of Stokes' law, that is the viscous force. Now you have to consider upthrust and viscous force that are in upward direction. And as the body is falling in downward direction, here you have to consider the weight of that body, that is mg, that is acting in downward direction. Now let us how we obtain that expression. Now in order to obtain the expression, consider one spherical body which is falling in downward direction through that viscous liquid medium. Now here, that's why right here the first point, consider a spherical object falling through a viscous fluid. Then we have to consider which are the different forces that are acting on that body. So there are three forces that are acting on that spherical body when that body moves through the viscous medium. The first one, that is the viscous force or drag force, which opposes the motion of that body, which is represented here Fv. F for force, V for viscous, and it is acted in upward direction. Then second one, the weight of that body, that is the gravitational force, which is denoted here Fg. And all of you know that gravitational force always acted in downward direction. And third one, during the motion of that body, whatever the force exerted by liquid medium or that fluid medium on that body in upward direction. So that is the upthrust. So that's why right here upthrust force, that is the Fu, which is directed in upward direction. Now from these three forces, you will clearly observe that two forces acting in upward direction and one force that is acting in downward direction. Now you have to consider the net force acting on that spherical body. That net force is given by F equal to Fg minus the sum of forces acting in upward direction. Here you have to consider the net force. I will write Fg minus, because that body moving in downward direction, it means the force which is acting in downward direction, that must be greater than the sum of forces which are acting in upward direction. So that's why I write here F equal to Fg minus in bracket Fu plus Fv. Now among these three forces, two forces are constant. That is the weight of that body, that is the gravitational force, and the upthrust. Only the one force that gets changed with the change in velocity, that is the viscous force. So that's why I write here Fg and Fu are constant, while Fv, that is the viscous force, increases with increasing velocity. Now here, as we mentioned in the statement of terminal velocity, there is a stage curve at which these forces balance each other. That is the upward forces that is equal to downward force. So at this stage, as these forces balance each other, therefore the resultant force that is equal to 0. So that's why right here at particular stage the resultant force become 0. If we put F equal to 0 here, then and if we transfer this term, then we have Fg. Actually it is Fu plus Fv equal to Fg. Rearranging that term, we can write here Fg equal to Fu plus Fv. Now this is the condition. Upward force equal to downward force. This is the condition when body attains the terminal velocity. Now here just you have to put the values of these three forces so that we can obtain the expression. Now consider the three values, that is the gravitational force, viscous force and the upthrust force. Now gravitational force equal to weight. So we write here weight equal to mg, as here density equal to mass upon volume. That's why I write here mass equal to density into volume. Volume of a spherical body. This is volume of spherical body and this is the density of that body. So that's why I write here weight equal to rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube, that is the volume of spherical body, and g as it is. So first value you have to keep in mind as, that is the gravitational force. Secondly, according to Stokes law, the viscous force is given by Fe equal to 6 pi eta rv. This is according to Stokes law. This 6 pi is a constant. Eta, coefficient of viscosity or radius of spherical body, and v is the velocity with which that body falls through that medium. Then consider here the force exerted by liquid on this spherical body, that is the upthrust force. Again that upthrust force equal to the weight, that is equal to m dash g. Now here this m dash is the weight of the liquid displaced by that body. So that's why I write here m dash. Now here you have to consider this is the sigma, that is the density of liquid. This is 6 pi constant. Keep in mind this is 6 pi constant and this one is the sigma, that is the density of the liquid. Now density into volume into, that is acceleration due to gravity. Now according to here Archimedes principle, the volume of that displaced liquid equal to volume of that spherical body. So that's why right here we say, so sigma into 4 by 3 pi r cube into g. Now you have to put these three values in our first derived equation as Fg equal to Fu plus Fv. Just put these three values. That is the value of Fg is 4 by 3 pi r cube rho into g. The value of upthrust 4 by 3 pi r cube sigma into g, plus the value of F is 6 pi eta rv. Now if I transfer this term, so it becomes negative. That's why I write here 4 by 3 pi r cube rho g minus 4 by 3 pi r cube sigma g. Now here making 4 by 3 pi r cube and g common. So we have 4 by 3 pi r cube g in bracket this rho and this sigma. So that's why I write here 4 by 3 pi r cube g in bracket rho minus sigma equal to, this is as it is, 6 pi eta rb. Now here we have to just find the terminal velocity. So just transfer